She doesn't suspect what will happen in 20 minutes. The black guy knew what he wanted. He took off his shirt, and Eleanor saw his strong torso. And then, the guy's hand was on her. It was one of those Los Angeles afternoons where the air smelled like citrus and heat. Eleanor walked slowly down the park path, her dress light, flowing just above her knees. 68. But she moved like she didn't care what the number said. Skin kissed by the sun, shoulders bare. Her heels clicked on the concrete, soft but confident. That's when she saw him, across the path, under the trees, shirt off, chest out, arms flexing as he pushed his body off the ground like it was nothing. Young, built, smooth dark skin that caught the light, sweat running down his back in slow teasing lines. She stopped, watched, didn't even pretend not to. He noticed, stood up, wiped his forehead, looked right at her. "Beautiful day," he said, walking her way. Eleanor tilted her head. "Just turned beautiful," she answered, lips parting with a smile. He laughed, easy and warm, sat beside her on the bench like it was always meant to happen. "Jamal," he said, offering his hand. She took it, held it just a little too long. "Eleanor, you live around here?" "2 blocks away." He nodded. "You look incredible." She glanced down at her legs, smiled. "You look young." That made him laugh again. They talked. About nothing. About everything. She watched his lips when he spoke, the way his chest moved when he breathed. His leg brushed hers. Once, then again. Not by accident. She leaned in. "Do you kiss women you just meet in the park?" Jamal raised an eyebrow. "Only when they're unforgettable." She didn't wait for more. She kissed him. Right there, under the tree. Her hand touched his cheek. His fingers found her hip. The kiss was slow, sweet, dangerous. When she pulled away, she stood up. "Come with me," she said, straightening her dress. "I want to keep talking. Inside, where it's cooler." Jamal stood. "Let's go." Her apartment was quiet, full of late afternoon light, and the faint scent of roses. She let the door close behind them, locked it, turned. He didn't hesitate. He stepped in, pressed his lips to hers again. Her hands moved fast, pulling off his tank top, exploring every inch of his chest. Firm, strong, real. She backed toward the couch, pulling him with her. He lowered her gently onto the cushions. His mouth was hot against her neck. Her dress slipped off her shoulder, then farther, then gone. Clothes hit the floor. Skin met skin. He moved over her like music, slow and steady. She clung to him, gasping, trembling. Every kiss, every touch, felt like a secret she'd been waiting to tell. She moaned softly, her fingers digging into his back, her legs wrapping around him like she never wanted to let go. The room was full of warmth, of breath, of rhythm. No words, just bodies, fire, connection. When it ended, they stayed close, her head on his chest, his hand stroking her hip. The sun dipped low. The room turned gold. She smiled, lips still swollen from his kisses. "You hungry?" she whispered. He kissed her shoulder. "Only for you." The next morning, Eleanor stood in the kitchen, robe tied loose at the waist, one bare leg peeking out as she stirred coffee. Her hair was messy in the best way, lips still pink from kissing. She didn't feel 68. She felt electric. Jamal came out of the bedroom, rubbing his eyes, no shirt, just those gray sweatpants that hugged him in all the right ways. She glanced over her shoulder, smirked. "Morning," he said, voice still rough. "You slept like a rock," she replied, handing him a mug. Their fingers brushed. He took a sip, smiled. "Hard not to, with you wrapped around me all night." She raised an eyebrow. Watch it, Jamal. You'll make me fall in love. He leaned in and kissed her, slow and deep, just the way she liked it. Then he pressed her up against the counter, hands on her waist, lips at her neck. Coffee could wait. They made love again, this time standing, her robe falling open, his breath hot against her ear. The kitchen filled with soft moans and the sound of flesh on flesh. She gripped the counter, holding on like she was afraid she'd float away. After, they sat on the floor, wrapped in a blanket, sipping cold coffee and laughing like teenagers. Eleanor studied his face, the smooth skin, the long lashes, the curve of his jaw. "Your trouble," she said, brushing a finger down his chest. "You invited trouble in," he replied, eyes glowing. By afternoon, they were in her garden lying on a blanket in the sun. She wore a thin dress with nothing underneath. He lay beside her, one arm behind his head, the other tracing circles on her stomach. "You ever do this before?" he asked. "What?" "Take home a stranger." She turned to face him, eyes sharp and smiling. "You think you're the first man to kiss me in a park?" He laughed. "So I'm not special?" "Oh, you're special," she said, sliding a hand under his shirt. "You just don't know how much yet." The hours melted. She fed him grapes. He kissed the juice off her lips. They made love again in the garden, under the sun, her back arching against the grass. It was wild, reckless, beautiful. She didn't care if the neighbors saw. Maybe she even wanted them to. At dusk, they showered together, her skin against his, water sliding down their bodies. His hands washed her hair. She pressed herself against him, her breath catching every time he touched her just right. They kissed under the stream, tongues tangled, hearts racing. After, wrapped in towels, they sat on the couch, watching the city turn gold through her windows. He rested his head in her lap. She ran her fingers through his hair. "What do you want from this?" she asked, her voice soft now. He looked up at her. "Right now? You." She nodded, biting her lip. "I can give you that." Later, when he was asleep again in her bed, Eleanor walked through the apartment, naked under her robe, feeling the ache in her body and the heat still pulsing in her skin. She looked out the window at the lights of Los Angeles, twinkling like stars. She felt young, powerful, dangerous, and she wasn't done yet. The next few days blurred into something unreal, like summer stretched into hours, and time forgot how to keep score. Jamal never left. He moved through Eleanor's home like he belonged there, shirtless in her kitchen, barefoot on her balcony, kissing her neck every time he passed behind her. She let him. They didn't talk about labels. They didn't care. All that mattered was the now, the heat, the skin, the fire. One night, Eleanor stood by the window in a silk slip that clung to every curve. The city pulsed outside, full of headlights and secrets. Behind her, Jamal came up quiet, wrapped his arms around her waist, his breath warm against her shoulder. "You ever get tired of me?" he whispered. She turned in his arms. "You kidding?" His hands found her hips. "Then why do you keep looking at me like that?" She smiled, slow and wicked. "Like what?" "Like you want to eat me alive." She kissed him hard, pressed him against the glass. Her fingers slid under his shirt, pulling it over his head. He lifted her up like she weighed nothing. They stumbled toward the couch, mouths never parting. She tore at his clothes. He growled against her skin. And when they sank into each other, it was desperate, wild, perfect. Later, tangled in blankets, they lay in silence, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns down her back. "You think we're crazy?" she asked. He chuckled. "Definitely." "You think we'll stop?" Nope. She laughed and kissed him again. But morning came, and with it, a message. Eleanor sat at the kitchen table, phone in hand, lips tight. Her sister was flying into town, staying with her, tomorrow. Jamal walked in, still in yesterday's boxers, rubbing his eyes. "Something wrong?" he asked. She looked up. "I'm gonna need you to disappear for a few days." He paused. Disappear? She doesn't know about this, and she'd have a heart attack if she found out. He leaned on the counter. "You ashamed of me?" "No," she said quickly. "Just protecting what's ours." He nodded, quiet. "I get it." She walked over, touched his cheek. "Don't go far." That night they made love slowly. No teasing, no rush. Just two bodies memorizing each other. She clung to him like the world might take him away. He whispered her name over and over. They didn't sleep. At dawn, he packed a small bag. She watched from the doorway. He kissed her, soft and deep. "Text me," he said. "I will." And then he was gone. The apartment felt different without him. Quieter. Too neat. The bed felt too cold. She made tea she didn't drink, put on music she didn't hear. But when she passed the mirror, she stopped. Her lips were fuller, her cheeks flushed, her skin radiant. She smiled. Eleanor had known men, had loved and lost, been touched and forgotten. But nothing ever felt like this. This madness, this fire, this joy. 3 days passed. Her sister came, left. The apartment returned to silence. And then, one night, just as she poured a glass of wine, there was a knock. She opened the door. There he stood. Same easy smile, same fire in his eyes. "Still want me?" he asked. She pulled him in without a word. Clothes hit the floor like falling leaves. His hands were rough, her kisses wild. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. Later, tangled together once again, he kissed her temple. "Next time you kick me out," he whispered, "I'm taking your pillow with me." She laughed into his chest, and outside, Los Angeles burned gold beneath the stars.